Hello and welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. In today's video we are watching a spectacular game that was played in 1979 in Switzerland, Biel. The game was played between Viktor Korchnoi, who was playing with white, and his opponent was Hansjuerg Kaenel, who was playing with black. As you can see from the final position, a truly spectacular checkmate and a truly wonderful game I'm sure you will love. So without further ado, we will go straight into the game. So Viktor Korchnoi opened the game with d4 and his opponent replied with f5. We are now in Dutch defense. h3 was played for Korchnoi and knight f6 was played for black. This is so-called Korchnoi Attack, so Korchnoi already plays his own chess opening. The game continues with g4, already a sacrifice early in the opening. This is Jansen-Korchnoi gambit, so white is gambiting the pawn in order to get the initiative. The game continued with f takes on g4, h takes on g4, and of course black accepts this gambit with knight picking up on g4. Our game continued with e4, which was the main idea of this gambit, to actually grab the center. Black plays d6 to try and counterattack. White it immediately strikes with bishop g5. Now pushing this e-pawn is not a possibility because your queen will fall. So black has to satisfy himself with playing g6 and trying to develop this bishop on g7. Game continues with f3. Right now this knight is under attack and black has to remove it somewhere. He decided to play knight f6, which is pretty much the only square free for this knight. Knight c3, Viktor Korchnoi continues his development, and now c6 was played for black, again with the idea to try and counterattack in the center, since black is a pawn up. Game continued with queen d2 for Viktor Korchnoi, really common in this sort of openings, and now black plays bishop e6, developing his piece and also protecting this d5 square in the center. Game continued with castle queenside for Viktor Korchnoi, and knight b to d7 was played for black. Black now wants to continue his development and maybe try and castle on queenside himself. Our game continued with king b1 for now. Viktor Korchnoi plays a peaceful move. He wants to remove this queen and this king from this nasty diagonal that could happen. Sometimes missing this sort of tactics can lead to taking your queen, so you definitely don't want this to happen. Our game continued with bishop g7 for black, and knight h3 was played for Viktor Korchnoi, simply because h3 square is much better for this knight than playing on e2, and the idea is to actually jump on this square f4 and then cause some trouble in the black's position. Knight h5 was played for black with the idea to stop this if possible and trade the pieces. Korchnoi accepts this and he plays knight f4. Right now either trade this or your bishop is under attack, so you have to make a decision. Black makes a decision to pick up this knight, and after queen picks up on f4, queen b6 was played for black. So right now black involves his queen in the game, and also he wants to, after castling, connects maybe his rooks, also putting the pressure, and this is the number one thing about this move, putting the pressure on this pawn here. Korchnoi decides to defend this pawn with playing queen d2, and now black plays queen c7. Korchnoi now can take at ease and he plays queen e3, peaceful move, just moving your pieces around the board. Knight b6 was played for black. Again, black now wants to put his knight on a much better square, because right now this knight is aiming at this c4 square and it's already doing much better than sitting here on d7 square. White now immediately strikes in the center because he wants to open his lines. Viktor Korchnoi simply sees that, as you can see, this king is still haven't castled, and this can be problematic, and which will show actually in the game that it was problematic. Black is a little bit too late with the castle, and that is always a problem, so always remember to castle. When you got the possibility, don't be lazy, don't just grab the pawns and delay your castle, because it can be fatal, which is in this game what happened exactly. So our game continued with a bishop f7. Right now black decided not to pick up this pawn. Our game continued with a4 for white, and a6 was played for black to try and stop the advancement of this pawn, but this was not the main idea of Korchnoi, obviously. And right now Korchnoi doesn't want to take any more time and he plays e5. He wants to open the files because this king is still very weak, he still hasn't castled. So black decided to pick up this pawn again. Now black is 2 pawns up, and our game continued with f4. Right now this is the main idea of Korchnoi Attack, so you want to open your files and you want to endanger this king, which is not doing well. So bishop g7 is an obvious move, and our game continued with d picking up on c6, b picking up on c6, and Korchnoi now plays bishop g2. Still black has the material advantage, but white is slowly involving his pieces in the attack, and it's already kind of dangerous. Please note that black queen cannot be moved from this square because this pawn is weak, and it can be taken with this rook because king is under pin. So black has to be careful. He plays knight c8, which is a mistake. There was sort of a better moves. I mean, this is not a game-changing mistake, but black simply doesn't have any idea what to do. It's really complicated. This pawn is hanging, and in case you immediately castle on queenside, your king will be definitely weak, and this pawn will be free for taking, and this will be a favorable endgame for white. So our game continued with knight e4 for Viktor Korchnoi, again putting the knight on a much better square. King f8 was played for black, so black sees that it is too late to castle, and he must move his king in order to protect his loose pieces. Unfortunately, it's a bit too little too late, because now Viktor Korchnoi immediately plays bishop h6, which is the best move of the game. Sorry about that, which is the best move of the game, because right now you want to trade your pieces as soon as possible, and you try to endanger especially this dark square bishop, because it is a really good protector of this king. So changing it would mean a lot to white. Game continued with, as you saw a little bit earlier, with rook b8. So right now black is trying some counter attack of his, because this bishop is still aiming at this pawn. It can be taken. Of course, bishop is pinned by the Korchnoi's bishop, so it's not so easy as well, but you want to create some sort of counter threat, and it's good that black is trying to create something. Right now Korchnoi, in order to defend this pawn, he plays queen c3, a really nice move. Obviously your bishop is pinned, and you can only pick up this bishop, you cannot pick up this queen. And right now our game continued with rook g8, trying to add another defender of this bishop. Now I will show you, I will go a little bit back. So after queen c3, in case you decide to pick up this bishop, if maybe you're wondering what would happen if this is actually a good move. No, it's actually not a good move. So after this, if you pick up this bishop, firstly Korchnoi will pick up his rook, and after bishop g8 we will pick up his bishop, and we are just rook up, and it's GG. So it is definitely not a good move. And after rook g8 our game continued with knight g5. Again, the situation is getting harder and harder for black. It's really difficult to play when you have so many pieces underdeveloped, and you're just defending, and you're just like an armadillo trying to defend whatever it takes. It's really hard to play like this. Our game continued with bishop picking up on h6, so black finally decides to remove this bishop, and after rook picks up on h6, rook g7 was played, with the idea to add another defender to protect this pawn, and also in future to defend this bishop. Of course this pawn will fall, but it is not a concern for black for now. He just wants to survive because he's a 2-pawn up, and that's the idea behind this move. So Korchnoi picks up this with a check, and after king g8, queen h3 was played for Viktor Korchnoi, now already creating some sort of threats on the back rank, so black has to be really careful. Black now plays queen b7. He wants to counterattack. Counterattack is the best defense, as you know, in chess, so right now this battery is threatening checkmate, but Viktor Korchnoi has an intermediate move with beautiful knight f6 check. So right now black decided to play king f8, which is the only good move. In case you are wondering what would happen if you pick up this knight, then rook h8 is simply a checkmate. So this is not a good move. So after king f8 was played, white continued with rook h8 check, and after bishop g8, which is the only good move. I'm guessing you're wondering what would happen after rook h8. If black played rook g8, then queen h6 is checkmate, because this rook is pinned. So this is a checkmate, so black has to be really careful, and bishop g8 is pretty much the only move here. Our game continued with knight d7 check. Right now this is a fork, and you cannot pick up with your queen because we will simply have a queen up, so you have to do something else. Black decided to play king f7. Now his king is going outside of his comfort zone or his safe zone, and it's getting harder for black to defend this position. It's not a good thing when this happens. So Korchnoi simply picks up this rook just to make sure that he has the material advantage if this attack falls off, but this didn't happen, as you saw from the intro. After queen picks up on b8, game continues with bishop picking up on c6. Again, the main idea is not just simply picking up the bishop, but preparing a bishop d5 check, and simply getting this diagonal for this white squared bishop is really dangerous for black. So right now black wants to play a knight b6 with the idea to try and protect this check, and also to connect this queen and try and protect these pieces, but this is really hard for black to play, because right now rook e1 was played, and the main idea behind this move is now that this queen can infiltrate on e6, and by infiltrating it will be a game over really soon. So it's hard for black to defend. Black decided to play king f6 here. Viktor Korchnoi sees that the black king is too exposed, and he plays queen h4 check. g5 was played for black, which is pretty much the only thing he could do, and after f picking up on g5 by Viktor Korchnoi, black resigned. Of course, I will now show you why. So firstly, if black decides to pick up this pawn with his rook, then there is a rook f1 check. Right now you are forced to go somewhere. If you decide to go on g6, then immediately queen h6 is checkmate, and there is nothing you can do. But black king doesn't need to go on g6, he can try after rook f1 and go on e6. So if he goes on e6, then we have a rook h6 check, and after this move, if black decides to block this check with his rook, then we have a beautiful queen e1 checkmate, as you saw from the thumbnail. Also, white has another way to finish this game, so I will now show you. After king e6, you can actually play queen e1 check, and after this move, the black's only move to defend this position is rook e5, and then we finish with beautiful rook h6 checkmate. And this is how this game ended, and this is all I have prepared for you today. As you saw, truly wonderful game and a wonderful idea how to play against Dutch defense. Always have in mind the Korchnoi attack, a really good way to counter black's activity. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave a comment, like and share. I really appreciate all of your support, and we will see each other in the next video. I wish you a pleasant day. Bye bye.